Greet you all students of MA Final. The concluding part of the poem Background Casually is the substance of entire poem, and yes, the poem Background Casually is called epitome of Nizam Eskil's all the poems because it reflects the significant theme of commitment to human life, commitment to poetry, which is his passion and mission, and the important part, commitment to the nation, country, his home, of course, India. A commitment here is metaphorically, it is used for the specific purpose. Now, the poet, he has accepted that his roots are always there in India. And therefore, see the line when he points out that this is the place where he has grown up. This is the place and the soil with which he has belongingness and bondings. And in spite of the fact there may be some adverse circumstances, or there may be some oddities, follies, frivolities, whatever. At the same time, it has positivism, the place which is full of wisdom with innocent people, and there is harmony, love in India. So he has really innermost feelings for his nation, and this is exactly the Indianness being reflected in his poems. Now, see the word commitment we talk about, because this is the crux of substantial point, substantial force in Nizam Eskil's poem. Now, the simple meaning is that you make some promise to do some important work for the society, organization, and also some institution or the nation. Here, we have deeper connotation also. See, when we talk about theme of commitment, see, it is really reflecting theme of positivism, life's affirmation. And another meaning when we talk about deeper connotation, now commitment, the hard work, loyalty, and that someone gives to an organization, task, society, and nation. So the theme of commitment, students, when this may be asked in examination about Nizam Eskil's poetry, then you have to focus. I mean, here we have three important forces. Now it applies to all the human beings, and even in this modern era of globalization, and at present people, they have been facing the problem of pandemic, and this is period of corona. At that time, we have commitment to human life. We have certain duties that we must perform. So in that context also, it is very significant. And when we talk about his commitment to, so this is not only promise, it is the deeper connotation in which it requires honesty, sincerity, and dedication to the art of poetry, as the poet has pointed out here. In when he has this kind of mission, I mean, contribution to society is the prominent point, pivotal force here. And we have the perseverance, faithfulness, human sensibility, as Nizam Eskil's views on poetry, that life, which is an expression of human sensitivity, and poetry is in a way development of this human sensitivity and sensibility. So here we have focus on that. So see, students, here you can have look, this is very important point, focus on the the poet's commitment. So mind you, this is very, very significant from the point of view of your better understanding. So three kinds of commitments here, and we have metaphor of this, because as I have mentioned earlier also, and we have discussed this, that we have, it's a source of inspiration for the generations after generations, for the whole mankind. Commitment to India. So see, we have, the notion of commitment. If you have certain qualities, like, see, this is the meaning, deeper connotation when we talk about it. The hard work, it requires, diligence and hard work, your loyalty to the organization, and see, you can be true to your profession also. Now, do you remember when we discussed Nizam Askill's biographical sketch? He was professor of English in Bombay University, and that particular period, it paves the path of shaping his personality. And at the same time, it can be source of inspiration for others. I mean, if whatever you are doing, and then yes, we must always remember the roots. We must have reverence to our ancestors, and see, we seek some kind of innermost feelings and emotions and passions from them. So this formulating the ideas and idealizing, not only idealizing them, but applying them to practical life. So showing reverence to the ancestors is, the roots. Love for roots is another point, substantial aspect when we talk about the theme of commitment. Yes, see, here we have, this is the point in which significance of roots, human values we have, established values. If you have, say, loyalty and faithfulness to the organization, to the society, to the nation, then only you will get success in your life. And yes, here the poetry, and it is the poetry that gives the source of inspiration to the poet. And therefore, he points out even the significance of poetry because of the visionary light it gives. Now, students, you must remember, it must be indelibly imprinted with your memory, because we had discussion on, detailed discussion rather, on this particular point, a particular force of poetry when we discussed Poet Love and Bird Watcher. Do you remember? The poet talks about the visionary light, and see the significance in his, see the exact word. Do you remember when he points out that morality? Yes. And here, the sense is found, and the myth of light. So these are the, the moral proved. Yes. The path of morality and spirituality, which is the pivotal point. And the poet also, in that part, that this is the sort of exploration. Now, why, poetry, it has become passion for the poet. He has commitment for that. Entire poem can be very well comprehended from these three important forces: human life, and his passion for poetry, and mission, which is it has become the purpose of life, and the point in which here it gives illumination. It is the life of enlightenment. Now, enlightenment, why? Because the poet, it is in a way integrated with humanistic approach. Now, at this time, See, you can also quote another important poem. For instance, is when we talk about his commitment to India. Now, see, I would like to give you example of the poem. Like, see, this is the poem, "The Company I Keep." Now, what is the reason behind it? When in examination, when you write the answer of this one of the important themes, the reason, because his dedication to the art of poetry, and he's meticulously and throughout, as earlier also I mentioned this, throughout, he kept on writing poems on different topics, and different, even commonplace topic. Sometimes it remains unnoticed, but when you derive the topic from commonplace, it becomes the part of beauty. There is some kind of aesthetic experience, creative experience, and then this is the way you explore different dimensions in your life, and the life in which we have reality confronting with reality of life. So this is in a way poetic experience, that poet. And the through, and see the quotation, his famous quotation, students, "The power of poetry." And I think in humanizing, because now what is the reason? When see 2 points, as the his commitment to India and faithfulness. So this is the place where, when we discussed Indianness, Indian culture, composite culture, and we have a unity in diversity, and the kind of we have these innermost passion and intensity of emotions for the people around, for our customs, rituals. I mean, so many points we have. But at the same time, poetry, it is poetry that gives the lesson of life, that yes, you must love India. This is the place, this is the background you have, and this is the soil that you must always love, because really it is your duty, it is your pious duty. And so is the case with others also. Therefore, we metaphorically, he has thrown light on the significance of loyalty, faithfulness. Now commitment is not only, it's not confined to just making some promise in simpler way, but we have deeper connotation when it requires hard work, and showing reverence to your ancestors, and to follow the path of say morality, and you must also obey your parents. So these are human values, so humanizing power of poetry. And yes, it is very, very relevant in this modern era, when people, they have been facing different kinds of problems. So at this time, the dire need of the hour is the, yes, you seek solace and see the solution of the problems. How it is possible? Because through poetry we experience reality, and it is sort of a discovery and expression of truth. See, when you develop humanistic approach, yeah, when you have such, you have in-depth study, knowledge, understanding of human values and realities of life, obviously you will get success, you will be diligent, you will have, you will understand the purpose of life. So this is spread this significance. And now yeah, it is also important to do away with the misconception. All kind of poetry cannot be, I mean, any trash or nonsensical the poet discards. Particularly in this poem, "The Company I Keep," there it is a sort of a satire on trash, also nonsensical poetry, and too much say emphasis on the in artificial phraseology and bombastic language only, and verbose, And there must be some kind of important themes, forces, issues which are integrated with societal setup and which will be beneficial to the whole mankind. And therefore, there must be, and he has also, he has laid emphasis on the simplicity of expression. His, literary style, as you must have noticed, we have, poetic diction in with the use of phrases and see the language, colloquial kind of language, which can be very well comprehended by the common people. So, and therefore, he absolutely discards bombastic style of writing and artificial kind of language. See, and the word, in this particular poem, because this poem, when you at this level, AMI level, you must quote, Nizam Askell's important, lines from poems, and you cite examples. You tend to cite, these cite examples from other poems. So this is not that just you are confined to 1, 2, or 3 poems, because then only you would develop understanding and the final, substantial parts and substantial aspects and different dimensions regarding Nizam Askell's poetry. General estimate of his poetry as a modern, the name is Nizam Askell as a modern poet, and he's regarded as a father of modern poetry. And then, the style also, in this poem, he, satirizes stuffed owls. And who are these people? Yes, his condemnation, his indignation at, and see the coinage of the word poetasters, he points out. And therefore the company I keep, it is a satire on self-worshipper, all the time self-appraisal. But the purpose of poetry is for the humanity, for the welfare of humanity. So this visionary light, as in his other poem, at this time, you can quote the poet, lover, and bird watcher. The reason behind it, because he points out the sense of life which is found, and when it is, something which is flight to light, lost to found. Do you remember all these important points in that poem? Because these two poems, all these poems can be very well comprehended as a whole. And then we have, symbolical significance of the words like deaf and blind, in which the poet, in which he his visionary light he has reflected, and the ideas on the one hand also, and on the when he talks about the darkness and his journey from that darkness towards the illumination and light. Now, in this context, I would like to focus the positivism. Yes, in the beginning, we talk about positivism. Now, so far as this poem is concerned, background casually or Knight of Scorpio, a poet, lover, and watcher. See, the idea is that how to derive positivity from negativity. Different kind of experiences human life, but the poetry is the name of exploration, on an exploration for the betterment, and which is, in this expedition, see the life which has a specific purpose, students. So mind you, what is the reason? See, do you remember in the beginning I told you, when you opted for English literature, and specifically you have been studying poetry. So at this time, at this juncture, at AMI level, you must have deeper understanding that why are you studying poetry. So this is the purpose, that you must have commitment to human life. And at the same time, how would you learn lessons from your ancestors, your roots. You should not forget them. I mean, you are not confined to present time only. There is continuity among the past, present, and future. And it is for this reason you would understand the meaning of life. And see, therefore, the prominence of balance in human life. And it is like this you can develop and rather, you maintain and develop the balance among the society, human psyche, and nation and universe. So all these different aspects, they are engulfed very effectively in Nizam Askell's poetry, and therefore the idea underlying is that the way you develop visionary light. So background casually, when we talk about the metaphor of commitment, yes, it is relevant even today, and all the time it would be relevant if you develop deeper understanding in this context. Thank you. We will continue.